Hello everybody, Helcrex here, and welcome to another Mercenary Thoughts from the Inner Sphere, episode 413. And today we're going to be talking about the Great Wyrm. Yes, the clan mech, the Great Wyrm, ready for battle, in a sort of a way, yeah. Well, the Great Wyrm was developed by Clan Mongoose off the specifications of the Dragon, which is obviously 60 tons. This is 45 tons, so a lot lighter. Still a 5.8 moving mech, so it's a 5.80 moving mech. Has a standard engine, no ferrofibrous armor, or endosteel. So it's just a bog standard mech. Nothing special really about it. It has 7 tons of slab armor for 112 points, which is roughly 41 points short of maximum. So it's not really well armored at all, but it still has something on it to keep the shots from going through. Now you hit this thing with a Gauss rifle or an ERPPC, because it is a clan mech, so a lot of times in its early years it was facing off against other clan mechs. It's punching holes right on through, except for the center torso, which was the only place really that it could handle it. And yeah, the legs too. I think the legs, yeah, 16. So center torso and the legs were the only place that it could handle getting hit with a Gauss rifle or ERPPC. So everywhere else, it's punching right on through to the other side, right into the juicy goodies. And those goodies is called internal structure, where all your fun stuff is. It can go boom. Now, weapon systems on board. We have in the at 2 Ultra AC2s. Yeah, another medium mech with autocannons on it. So it has 2 of them, 2 AC2 Ultras in the right arm, with a ton of ammunition in the right torso. Then we have in the center torso a LRM-10 with 1 ton of ammunition in the right torso. So all the ammunition you have on this mech is in the right torso. And then when you look at it, you have 2 tons right there and 6 spots. So you roughly have a 33% chance of hitting ammo right off the bat. If you get into the internal structure. But obviously it's clan, it has case, so you can mitigate some of the issues. But if you hit the ammo, you basically have taken out 2 autocannons and an LRM-10, leaving this thing with just roughly an ER medium laser and an ER small laser. All right. Now going on to the other weapon systems. In the right torso, we have an ER medium laser with an ER small. That's in the right torso. And the left torso, we have an ER medium laser and ER small. Kind of a balanced out looking mech. The first thing that comes to mind is that they should have just put on ferrofibrous, because hey, it's clan mech, you know, they can at least put that much on it, and that would have increased it to, I think, 140 roughly. Let me tell you in a second here. Let me bring up the worm on my thing, looking at the, so it's 112. You go to ferrofibrous armor, 134. So yeah, it's like just by putting ferrofibrous armor on, you could have at least beefed it up a little bit in the torsos. And you what you could have done was instead of putting 16, yeah, I would have gone with the route of 15 in each torso front. You have your legs and your arms are beefed up a little bit more. The arms are really not a big of issue per se, because you obviously you got the 2 autocannons in there, but at least by putting ferrofibers on, you can protect your torso a little bit, and then your arms. So you got that going for you, but they didn't. So let's just look at the standard mech right now. Now, with the 2 autocannons, obviously those go out to 27, which, hey, there's nothing to sneeze at about that. I can sort of live with that aspect of it. This would be something that's pretty decent at taking down VTOLs or hovercraft per se, if you got a decent pilot on board. Obviously, this mech, you know, they say it got relegated to second line usage with the group, the Solmahal group, I think is what it is. I forget exactly how to pronounce that word. The second line warriors. So it's basically a fire support mech. Obviously, you got 10 double heat sinks on board. Your 2 auto cans, double pumping, can last a few turns. Obviously 45, you're pumping out 4. So you got 10 turns, 11 turns of firing with that thing before it goes dry, which isn't bad. And your heat output, that's 4 heat. So you're not worrying too much. That leaves you 16. If you're running, that leaves you 14. And then obviously you got 2 ER medium lasers. That will drop you down to 4 left, and you got your 2 ER smalls. Hey, that's 4 more. So this mech runs fairly decently cool. Unless you throw in the LRM 10, which adds 4 more. That would put you up on 4 on the heat scale, and you can do that for 1 turn. If you're firing at point blank range, getting the ER smalls on board. Now, if you don't have the ER smalls in range, obviously they're not going to be adding the heat, so you look at the LRM 10, the AC2s, and the 2 ER medium lasers. That's 14, 18, 20. So you're running cool. Unless someone hits you with inferno rounds, that's pretty decently. And this all comes in at 1331 battle value. Now, to be honest, I have used the Great Wyrm before. This was at Gen Con. It's like, here's some mechs for you to run. You look at it, okay, how can I best use this thing? And like I said, I usually hung back looking for targets of opportunity, knowing that I had very little armor on board. And the moment someone seen you get into range, they were like, hey, let's just focus that guy down because he doesn't have a lot of armor. So I hung back a bit. And basically, it's like, all right, you got the heavies and the assault mechs are running around out front, and I just kept it behind those guys, adding in the AC2 shots. And it's like, oh, you hit me with 2 AC2s, and oh, you did 6 points of damage and 2-point shots. Okay, they just kind of look at you. You're not a threat. They don't even consider you a threat unless you get in closer. And then when you got in a little closer, I threw in the couple medium lasers. That added a little more damage to the mix. But there were better mechs out front of me that were doing damage, that were dishing out. And they were like, hey, those guys are big threats, take them down. And they were kind of ignoring you for most of the game, which wasn't bad. I was like, hey, go ahead. I'm just going to sit back here and just plink away. And I remember, I think I had a 3-4 pilot or something like that. So it wasn't that bad. He could hit. And if he was usually a few times you've run into and get yourself into a heavy wooded area or something, you just park it and just bang, bang, bang. But being a 5.8, you do have some mobility. This is kind of like a style of a flanking cavalry style mech. Not very fast when you think about it, with clans, but it's still respectable. At least you can get up to a 3 mod on this thing if you're in the open before you hit any terrain. Now, if you can go run into like light woods or something of that nature and get a 3 mod that way too. So most of the games I was running with a 2 or 3 mod and people are ignoring me. Which, it's not a bad mech for just hanging back. Don't get this thing up front. It's going to die quickly because I can tell you, everybody that in both sides of those games, you had the professional types that were like, we look at it like, that mech, we can take that down really quickly. We can take that mech down really quickly and start eliminating threats. And the whole thing with this one was like, I'm going to hang back and make myself look like not a threat and then just keep myself in the game as long as possible. Now, There's a second one, which I have seen. Somebody else was running one of these, but I didn't run it. But this one comes in at 1667 battle value. This is the Great Wyrm 2. You have an ER medium laser in the center torso. You have an ER medium laser in the right and left torso. And you have an AP Gauss rifle in the left arm. And those autocannons been replaced with a HAG-20. Alright, so you got rid of your LRM-10 and your two AC-2 Ultras for a HAG-20, which to me is a major upgrade, and you have some extra tonnage left over that they, let me bring it up here. I think what they did with this one was ferrofibers. I'll tell you in a second here. Bring it up into the, they don't have a, but yeah, the armor value of this one, you have 18 in the torsos, 14 in the arms, 18 in the legs. Center torso is 22. So obviously they added a lot more tonnage to the armor, and they hit it with ferrofiber. So obviously they did some decent thinking on what they wanted to do with this thing. And then they threw the HAG-20, which goes out to 24. This is better than having an LRM-10 and the two AC-2s. So this is a major step up for this mech. So in the right arm, you have a HAG-20. So this thing can do basically the same style of operation as the previous version, as you're hanging back and you got 12 shots because you got 2 tons of ammunition with the HAG-20, and you're able to just bang away. It's like having an LRM-20. Think of it in those terms. So you're just smashing away and you're ripping off armor, tearing things up, but you're still following the fire support mode of the previous version. Now, the interesting thing is with the AP Gauss rifles, anti-personnel Gauss rifles, those go out to 9. Obviously, they do 3 points damage. You're able to handle some infantry, do some damage to them. Now, with the 3 ER medium lasers and the HAG, that's 19 heat. With the AP Gauss rifle, if you got that in range, that's 20. The only thing that's going to heat you up when you get all weapons in range is your movement. And if you're running, you can do that for 2 turns before any heat issues arise. And I'll be honest with you, I probably would just shut off one of the ER medium lasers, cool back off, and then get right back into the same rotation again of just smashing. Because when you get this thing up into range 15, you're looking at a potential of 41 damage at range 15. That's pretty decent. That's all long range with all those weapon systems. But you hit somebody with all that, they're going to know you're there, and they're not going to like you very much, and they may focus fire on you, especially after you hit them with a HAG. So you have to be really looking at what you have in front of you that may be attracting more attention. Now, if there's an assault mech out front of you, that probably will attract a lot of attention because it's usually a slower moving mech. Yes, it has the armor and everything, and firepower. They're going to want to get that firepower off the table, and they're going to ignore you for a short period of time. Now, if the assault or heavies that are in front of you start disappearing, they will focus on you, and your life expectancy will greatly diminish. Now, I could see someone looking at this mech and go, all right, you're fast. I'm going to move you up quickly, trying to hit the flanks, attract attention. And while this mech is attracting attention, your other guys are just smashing away. That can work but you're just going to become an incandescent warrior really quick, because even with your increased armor value, it won't stand up very quickly against heavies and assaults. Just keep yourself moving. That's the whole game with this mech. Now, as I said, I did say this battle value was 1667. Not bad. It can be shoehorned into pretty much any force. The Wyrm 2 I can see being used a lot more than the Wyrm standard Great Wyrm. So just keep that in mind. Right. They don't have a write-up that there's a third version, the Great Wyrm Amelia. This was from Clan Smoke Jaguar on the Draconians Combined World of Rockland. After the invasion of 62, Operation Bulldog, this mech was pretty much running around. So she took it out of the depot and removed the ammunition-dependent type of weapons. So she got rid of the AC-2s and the LRM-10 and replaced it with an ER large laser and a large pulse laser and a pair of ER medium lasers and a pair of small lasers. Comes in at 1394 battle value. I did look at that one. It's kind of an interesting mech with the pulse laser and the ER large. You do have something that shoots out to 25 and 20. So you're really not losing anything, to be honest. From the LRM-10 to a large pulse laser, that's a direct swap of damage output. The ER large, obviously, you're getting 6 more damage. Well, I guess it'd be about 2 more damage potential. But in a 10-point shot with the ER large, and then you obviously have the 2 ER mediums and the 2 ER smalls that remain. That's kind of a respectable mech, even though I think it doesn't carry any more ammo, or not ammo, but armor. So that's one thing you have to watch, is that your armor is lacking in a lot of ways still, even though you have a little bit more respectable potential of damage output, especially with that large pulse laser. And I'm a big fan of Clan large pulse lasers, or ER PPCs for that matter. But a large pulse laser, it really is a game changer for an average pilot. At least gives you something that has a better chance of hitting, at least offsetting your running mods that you may have. So this kind of equalizes things a bit. But in the long run, not a bad mech either. Just wished it had ferrofibrous armor. That would have helped out. All right, so that's it. I did, let me bring this one up here. Did do a small change to one of them. Let's see. Okay, here we go. This is one we used in one of our campaign games in the past. Same mech but we got rid of the AC-2s, replaced the AC-2 with an ER large. This is kind of sort of based on the Amelia version, I think it was. Then we have 2 ER medium lasers in the right and left torso. We got an ER small and a flamer in the right and left torso. And then we have an LRM-15 in the center. So we upgrade the LRM-10 to a 15 because, got rid of one of the AC-2s. Upgraded one weapon system, then we gave it another ER medium laser. So it has 3 ER medium lasers, a ER large, and an LRM-15 with a flamer. It's got rid of one of the smalls from ER small in favor of a flamer for, hey, we're pyros in our game systems. And it has 11 double heat sinks, and I think we upgraded the armor. Yeah, ferrofibers has 8. We put another ton of armor on board, so it gets 153. So we maxed out the armor. That was an interesting little build too. That one was a good hitter, to be honest, and that came in at 1496 battle value. So it's a mech that has a lot of potential for doing things for you. But overall, the second version, the Great Wyrm 2, I think is the best option for this one to take out and just hammer away with things. All right, so hope you guys like it. Like and subscribe, share with friends, and we'll see you in the next one. Hellcracks out.